It's truly an honor to be here. I am not a motivational speaker nor a professional speaker. I'm basically just a businessman, retired at that. But those who know me, however, know that focused, missile-locked, determined, persistent, work smart are all words used to describe me. But also they describe what I expect of those around me. It's the same work ethic combined with the 5 pillars: fiscal, social, physical, accountability, and responsibility that FSPAR was founded upon. FSPAR is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization dedicated to the implementation of sound financial business principles in the administration, management, and operation of the people's business. It is dedicated to the social consciousness and values and the prudent stewardship and the implementation of our social responsibilities. And it is dedicated to the promotion and education of wellness, dedication, and physical persistence. That's a mouthful. Fiscal accountability is achieved when the business component is run like a business, when the business component of government, where efficiency is the goal. This is achieved through centralization, then standardization, then achieving economies of scale through collective bargaining of goods and services, thereby saving money by reducing the unit cost and not the number of units purchased. In other words, paying less for the same units. Social responsibility is achieved through helping others, examination of conscience, and striving to be the best person we can be, while recognizing that success is a journey and not a destination. Physical responsibility. We are all responsible to and for ourselves, taking care of the one body God gave us, treating the body like a temple and not a tent. FSPAR's purpose is to enrich and improve the people's lives through better government stewardship. While I am retired from investment banking, venture capital, and turnarounds, I am now devoting my time to the people's business and policy. I am using my God-given talents and experience to positively impact the people's business and policies. Today, my life's purpose is very simple: to utilize my talents and experience in serving the people as a steward for and of their business, government, which is why I founded FSPAR. But FSPAR is more than Lamar Lackey. It is comprised of those dedicated to the principles. FSPAR is dedicated to evaluating policy, identifying administrative shortcomings, communicating with legislators as to the aforementioned, attending meetings, speaking, talking with folks like yourselves, seeking the input of public employees, boots on the ground, not supervisors or department heads, and so on. I consider myself to be a very thrifty and economical person who has an uncanny ability to identify bleeders, inefficiencies, lack of standardization and centralization, lack of economies of scale, lack of use of collective bargaining and purchasing, and so on. I know how to stretch a dollar and make it go far, and I am a very good implementer, if I must say so myself. Someone once said that if you give me a penny, I will give you fiber optic cable in return. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Fiscal prudence and stewardship. social responsibility, physical accountability. What do all these things have to do with intimacy, a parking meter, and each other? The answer may surprise you. Russell Kirk lays these principles out in The Politics of Prudence. In it, he talks about how in the past we were taxed the most on a local level, where we could see our tax dollars at work. Now things are totally reversed. We are taxed most at the federal level, and simply put, we have lost intimacy with our money. Our conservative principles guide us. The Constitution is the structure for those of us who are prudent, dedicated, and motivated. The Constitution is the structure for free people to live their lives and create wealth. But freedom is not free. We must be prudent and we must be responsible. Thomas Jefferson said that if a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. Unfortunately, most Americans do not understand this concept. They want everything handed to them without having to do anything. If you don't believe me, listen to these staggering statistics. Almost half of Americans do not have any beliefs they would die for. Almost 25%, only 25% rather, would die for their country. 2/3 of Americans have never participated in community service. Almost 70% cannot name their local representatives. 25% do not care about problems in their local communities. Simply put, many of us do not care and take the attitude of let someone else handle it. I tell you all of this because it is up to us conservatives. We have to be the pace car. We have to be the guiding light. The Tea Party is more than taxes. All of us know that TEA in Tea Party stands for taxed enough already. But it should also stand for take eventful action, take enduring action, and take effective action. It is not enough for us to look at only the present. We must be forward-looking and make sure our actions have a positive impact and a lasting effect on our country. How do we do this? By remaining true to our conservative principles. Let's touch on some of these principles. Conservatives believe that there exists an enduring moral order. This order represents harmony, both inner peace and the peace of a community and of a nation. Those of you who are parents, think of what it would be like if you just allowed your kids to run around the house and do whatever they wanted. You'd have chaos, right? Well, isn't the same thing happening in our country now, except on a much larger scale? Conservatives adhere to custom, convention, and continuity. Our society is based on a set of customs or traditions which normally have strong historical reasons for existing. This continuity is the lifeblood of a community and of a society and must not be interrupted. However, as we move through time, there will always be the need for some course corrections. Normally, they should be implemented gradually and discriminatorily and not at once. However, when there is the need for immediate changes, communication is key. In my business experience doing turnarounds, I always made sure that the troops were informed, involved, and engaged so that they were part of the changes and the ultimate solution. Remember, most people do not like change. But in the end, we do what we have to do to protect the collective, the greater good. Conservatives are guided by their principle of prudence. Conservatives believe that any public measure should be judged by its probable long-term implications and consequences, and not merely by its temporary advantage and or short-term or immediate implications. A perfect example of this is Obamacare. Liberals and radicals tend to go for immediate and short-term with total disregard for the long-term. My daddy used to tell me that you can't get to long-term without going through short-term. Conservatives are chastened by their principle of imperfectibility. This may come as a shock to some of you, but we are not perfect. We are imperfect, especially us men. Isn't that right, ladies? Perfection does not exist here on earth. Perfection is nothing more than a pursuit. No perfect social order can be created. If heaven were here on earth, what would we ultimately be seeking? The best we can hope for during our tenure on earth is a tolerably ordered, just and free society, where some evils, maladjustments, and sufferings will continue to lurk. The afterlife is the only perfection. It is only through prudence, diligence, persistence, and steadfastness that we may preserve and improve this tolerable order, our free society. The more widespread capitalism and free enterprise and the possession of private property, the more stable and productive a society, a civilization, and a nation are. Conservatives believe that economic leveling is not synonymous with economic progress, but rather just the opposite and lead to social stagnation. As conservatives, we think responsibly and we worry about the future. We even try to instill that in the next generation. Intimacy, however, is what it's all about. Intimacy is the key. It is the conduit and the connection to and of the people. Conservatives embrace intimacy, uphold voluntary community versus involuntary collectivism. In a genuine community, there is intimacy where those decisions most affecting the people's lives should be made locally, closest to you, and voluntarily. The important thing is that these decisions and the economic impact thereof are local and intimate. Some of these are carried out by local governing bodies. Some are carried out by private associations. But intimacy is most critical. However, more than 50% believe that their voice, their input, has no impact whatsoever on local issues. On the other hand, when intimacy is usurped and these functions and decisions are made by a central authority and further removed from us, that is when our communities, our freedoms, and our way of life are jeopardized.